Welcome back to U.S. Farm Report. Trusted, timely, tradition. The 2021 U.S. Farm Report College Roadshow is brought to you by Golden Harvest. Learn how Golden Harvest is changing the game in corn and soybean products and providing service to farmers by visiting goldenharvestseeds.com.
Welcome back. Well, it seems like every input in farm supply this year has seen a price spike from inflation and the supply chain chaos. But for small ag businesses, finding affordable and adequate health insurance has been a long-standing issue. But here at Ohio State, researchers are looking into the cost it's having on rural communities. The chase to capture carbon continues to gain attention across the country.
What we're finding out is that there's a lot of uncertainty and confusion in this market right now.
And one Ohio State expert says at this point, it's best to look before you leap.
If you've been tillage intensive, it's going to be hard to park that field cultivator or that vertical tillage tool that you've invested in.
Mike Estat says while he doesn't think the carbon market is the Wild West, full transparency is still a missing piece.
There is no clear, verified, transparent market. It's not like the Chicago Mercantile where we know how many contracts of corn were traded on a day and for how much.
While work is underway to provide those answers, he says as long as someone is willing to buy the carbon credit, he thinks the carbon market will stick around.
A lot of corporations have formed carbon companies, subsidiaries, or joined with other companies to buy offset credits. And so that's why agriculture, we know we can sequester a lot of carbon in our soils.
Today, there's a couple quick ways to capture carbon.
One would be planting cover crops, because we know if we can increase the amount of biomass that we grow, we can sequester carbon in the soil.
But the most recent USDA data shows cover crops are only adopted on about 4% of farm acres today. And while no-till is more widely used at a 26% adoption rate, when you add in other tillage conservation tools, the number is closer to 50%.
The idea of using livestock manures or using cover crops that fixate and put nitrogen into the soil, that's going to be a place where those folks may be able to be part of a carbon market.
From improving water quality to other benefits of practices like cover crops, carbon contracts come with a legal obligation.
Very different legal terms that they're dealing with, so that's one of the issues that we've focused on, is helping them understand those terms, because they are going to be in those agreements and those programs that they're entering into.
Peggy Kirkall focuses on the legal side of the carbon markets for Ohio State.
There are lines between what's pre-existing and what you're actually creating, and trying to understand and verify and certify that the practices you instituted did actually create something of value.
From proving additionality to verification and certification, she says the carbon contracts come with a host of obligations.
I worry a lot about farms getting into these programs and not realizing that they could be creating long-term responsibilities and effects for the next generation that's coming into that farm and that operation, that maybe they haven't thought through who really has the legal right to do what.
Kirkall says that's why the farm transition also has to play a part in farmers' decisions.
We need to have discussion between those generations on whether the next generation can live up to those commitments.
ESAT tells producers that's why they need to be comfortable with the production changes and make certain it fits into their overall goals of the farm.
They have to understand that they're going to have to make some wholesale changes, possibly to how they farm. If you've never had a cover crop, and you shouldn't go out there and plant 1,000 acres of it right away.
And he says there are some contracts that come with a 3 or 5 year commitment instead of 25 to even 50 years.
What happens if we would have had a wet fall this year and we had rutted out a bunch of corn or soybeans, and you're 7, 8, 9 years down the road in one of these programs and you go out there and do tillage? Well, I know the programs that I've looked at will tell you that there will be a suspension of payments until you can prove that that carbon has been re-sequestered that you released through tillage.
And even then, farmers should ask one major question when venturing into the carbon market.
There are programs out there that allow participants to take advantage of an increasing value in their credits. Maybe that would be something as you evaluate different companies. Ask that question: if my carbon's worth $25 a ton today and it goes to 50, is there a way that I'm going to be able to take advantage of that? So that'd be a question you should ask the company that you're dealing with.
Well, when we come back, speaking of policy and prices, our marketing discussion continues. That is next.